Hello and welcome back to Politics on the Prairie. I'm your host, Dan Williams, and it's been a while. It's good to be back, taking a little hiatus to focus on health and well being. But now we're back, and on today's episode, I want to cover a very special piece of legislation that's being displayed before you right now. Some of you might be asking, well, Dan, that doesn't look like a piece of legislation, it looks like a congressional map. Well, you'd be right. But also, it is a piece of legislation. It's House Bill 3313, filed by Andy Fugate, who represents House District 94, which is the Del City area in South Oklahoma City. He asked me earlier, or a few months ago, if he could have my congressional submission for the for the redistricting commission to submit a map to call for the state to redistrict its congressional districts. Now, some of you also be asking, well, doesn't that only happen every 10 years? A state can redistrict at any time, so as long as they use the 2020, or at least most recent population figures released by the United States Census. So this is my map based on those numbers, and I'd like to cover it today to go over the decisions I made in this map. So first we'll start up with the first district, which is based in the Tulsa area. Now, this area isn't that different from the actual map that got implemented. In all honesty, the Tulsa area district is pretty, as it exists currently, is pretty okay, but this one, in my opinion, is a little better. So what I've done here is I've taken all of Tulsa County and put it into CD1, like it is currently, and then I've taken bits out of 4 different surrounding counties to even out the population to -1 person below the deviation requirement. So we can see here that I've put in a bit of Creek County, mainly centering on the city of Sapulpa. As we can see over here, it also has the small excerpt of Kiefer down here. Then we have this region of Wagoner County, which includes most of the city of Broken Arrow that exists in Wagoner County, whereas the other part of Broken Arrow, of course, exists inside Tulsa County, which is why I made that decision here. I also include the city of Fair Oaks. Really, it's just a small town of 73 people. But this also contains a bit of Tulsa City that exists in Wagoner County. Moving up to the Rogers County portion, I focused on adding areas around Catoosa, and of course, a bit of Tulsa City that goes into Wagoner County, the town of Verdigris, and of course, Claremore, which are principal population centers that are close to the Tulsa metro area. And finally, in the Osage County area, I added this bit here, which is the historic Greenwood neighborhood and Gilcrease Hills that exist in Osage County. So you can see here, this is part of the city of Tulsa that goes over into this area. So I really want to focus on uniting the city of Tulsa, which goes into multitudes of different counties, as well as including the Tulsa mainline suburbs, which include Sapulpa, Broken Arrow, Fair Oaks, Catoosa, Verdigris, and Claremore, that aren't located directly inside Tulsa County, while still making a relatively compact district overall. From there, we move into the second district. The second district represents the eastern portion of Oklahoma, only has 2 county splits, previously mentioned with CD1 in Rogers and Wagoner counties, and the only really major change is that it picks up Washington County, which used to be in CD1, but that is a change that's implemented in the current congressional districts. So relatively remains unchanged. Then we'll move over into CD3, which is one of the most changed districts from the current map to my map. As we can see here, CD3 retains its northwest Oklahoma configuration, stretching all the way down to the beginnings of the Red River Valley around the Altus area, then going around over towards Tulsa, which it already does, taking up most of Creek County. This northern configuration and the westerly configuration is mostly the same. The key differences between this and the normal map are that Lincoln County is fully in CD3, whereas the current map has it in CD5, though it is interesting to note that previous maps had Lincoln County back in CD3, and then we have Logan County completely in CD3, Canadian County in CD3, and then a portion of Grady County in CD3. Now, why did I make these changes to the current map? Well, Historically, Lincoln County has been a part of CD3, and Lincoln County is principally a rural county. It is around 32,000 people. If we look at here real quick, actually we can't see the bounds, but if we look at this area here, Lincoln County is around 32,000 people. It's mostly rural. In fact, it's all rural. There are some population centers here: Chandler, Stroud, Prague, but it is really, really rural, and I figured that would go hand in hand with the rural concerns across the Northwest District. I have kept Logan County whole. Again, a very rural county, of course, with some population centers in Guthrie, principally, but also one in Langston, as well as some other minor population centers like Cimarron City or Crescent or Cedar Valley. This is an area that has traditionally been in CD3, fits the rural nature of CD3, and thus we go on. I also keep Canadian County in CD3 wholly. This is a district. This is a county that has been in CD3 before, and while not necessarily a rural county anymore, with most of its population being concentrated along this eastern edge of Oklahoma City, or western edge of Oklahoma City, eastern edge of Canadian County, and in the suburbs of Yukon, Mustang, and Piedmont, this is a county that is still by land area mostly rural, and helps round out the population deviation for this congressional district, which tends to be more spread out due to the lower populations in counties west of I-35. I then took out this portion of northern Grady County, mainly around the towns of Minco and Tuttle. There are some historic configurations that do this, as well as Minco and Tuttle being in this kind of weird four cities area. Well, not weird four cities area, but this four cities area. Tuttle, touching Oklahoma City over here, Minco touching Union City, and focusing on splitting those cities off there while retaining most of Grady County and CD4. Moving to CD4, the principal concern here was keeping Tinker Air Force Base and Lawton Fort Sill in the same district, which has been the configuration since at least the 1970s. So as you can see, I do take a chunk of Oklahoma County out here. Now, for those of you at home, Oklahoma County, as of the 2020 census numbers, was larger than the congressional district, so it would have to be split either way. Looking here, we can see that Tinker Air Force Base, including the barracks out west of the base, are included in CD4. Now these lines do look a bit jagged. I would like to remind you all that I can only deviate one person from the average congressional district size. So that sometimes necessitates making some little weird lines that do follow city streets still in order to meet those population requirements. Now, of course, the biggest change is CD5, which is completely contained into Oklahoma County. Now, why did I do this? Why did I put Potawatomi and Seminole in CD4? Why did I keep CD5 just in Oklahoma County? Principally, Oklahoma County, like I mentioned previously, is larger than a congressional district, and it is good form that when you have a county that is larger than a congressional district, that you tend to keep it all in one congressional district to minimize county splits. Currently, the map is split 3 different ways between CD3 and CD4, taking out these southern portions down here, with CD4 going even further in Oklahoma County, taking out Del City and Midwest City. Now on this map, Midwest City and Del City are still wholly contained inside CD5 as they were previous. I believe this fits more in the character of these areas, having more in common with, of course, the urban core of Oklahoma City, which is principally located within Oklahoma County. Now, there are some people in the congressional hearings that demanded that Oklahoma City be put in within 3 congressional districts. As we can see here, due to the size and nature of Oklahoma City being in 4 different counties, we can see that Oklahoma City is still within 3 congressional districts, with the western edge of Oklahoma City being in the 3rd, the southern edge of Oklahoma City being in the 4th. This meets those requirements. Now, the legislators interpreted this as, well, the legislators in charge of redrawing at least, interpreted this as splitting Oklahoma County 4 ways, which is not something we have historically done. This has appeared sometimes on maps previous, but has been corrected, at least for the last 20 years, up until this last redistricting cycle. Now, if people want to point out the last time it was gerrymandered three different ways, being when Democrats were in control, that is true. But I would caution those people that if they want to stoop down to the Democrats' level, then we can just gerrymander the whole map. Why stop there, right? Simply put, while Oklahoma is indeed a red state, the the map it currently has is a gerrymandered map. And when I was contacted by Rep. Fugate to submit a congressional map to him, I felt it was an appropriate opportunity to submit this map. This map is not only more compact, splits the same amount of counties, but is more representative of the population zones in this city or in this state. Whereas we have the southwest south central corridor, the northwest a big expanse, the eastern smaller expanse, and the Tulsa and Oklahoma City metro cores. This is more representative of the populations we have in the state of Oklahoma and geographic zones, as well as representing culturally the distinct regions of the state. That is why I put forward this congressional map, and that's the overarching details of why I made the decisions that I did. There are some considerations for partisan fairness. There is one competitive district, the 5th district, even though it still slightly leans Republican in the composite. Having competitive elections is good. It sharpens both parties and makes them compete for the voters instead of just writing them off with elections being guaranteed. This also keeps communities of interest together. The main reason why we had the 3rd latch into the Oklahoma County area was to unite two, in my opinion, disparate Hispanic communities, one in Guymon and one in Southside Oklahoma City. If the legislator was actually interested in doing that, they would have gone so far as to put the Hispanic community in the Tulsa metro area in the 3rd district as well. But they did not do that. So it clearly states that was a partisan gerrymander to allow the 5th to take up a bunch of rural area. Anyway, this is the overall version of this map. I'll be linking it in the post I make about this. If anyone has any questions about this, please ask them. Please either DM me on Twitter or message me on the posts I make about this, and let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for tuning in to this edition of Politics on the Prairie. Next up, we'll be looking at the Senate District 32 December election and going into some of the dynamics that were at play there. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.